I could be with anyone. You're here with me. You're here with me. You could be around for
You could be with anyone, and I could be with anyone. You're here with me. You're here with me.
Hey, what's going on, people? Welcome to the Sunday night show after party. Hopefully, we're having a great night. You guys enjoyed the sister wife scandal, as it were, as it played out on television. Before we get started, let me see if I can get some ones in the chat. I appreciate that. I see the ones populating. Awesomeness. Welcome to the show. All right, guys, we're 7 episodes in. And some seasons, depending on how they do this season, we're almost halfway through the season at this point. Halfway through. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest with you. I think here's the sad part, because I saw earlier where some of the folks were saying that it was slightly better than it was last week, and I can agree with that. I think it's definitely on the uptick. Like, they're talking about more stuff, they're doing more things, kind of. The problem that I think that they're having at this point is that it got such a slow start that you're already starting underwater as the season is going. So, like, it feels like the season tonight, it just feels like the season just started. You understand what I mean? Like, this is like episode 1 of the season. You know, this could have been episode 1. And it would have been okay, because there was a lot of things when you look at the elements of the storytelling that they were doing. A lot of it is just simply expounding on things that have already been discussed. Like, we'll get into the whole conversation between David and Christine. They had a conversation where apparently they had a bit of a fiery debate and discussion on communication. And I think that that's actually a great place to start as we look at tonight's episode, because, you know, watching this show as well as the companion show, which is, you know, Special Forces, we get to see Cody not only interact with the wives and the family, but we also get to see him in an independent setting to see how outside people may be taking him and receiving him. You know, that way, you know, you sometimes when you're in these types of relationships, you feel like it's just you. When you have these crazy things happen, like, is it just me? Maybe I'm the jerk. Maybe I'm the one. I'm just putting too much on them. My expectation is too high. That's what it is. Right. And it's always nice to get that reaffirmation that, no, you're not crazy. That other people who come in contact with them or have seen them in action kind of have the same feeling that you have. Right. So I think that that's part of it. But as we go through, you know, we have to ask the question, you know, and I like to, especially from my start on Sister Wives as well as 90 Day and other shows that I cover, I like to ask the bigger question, because I just don't want to talk about bashing and smashing Cody, because even though that's kind of fun and delicious, Cody and Robin bashing, at the end of the day, when we walk away from that conversation, we don't really walk away with anything we can put in our pockets, right? So I'm gonna try to give you a little something to put in your pockets. Hopefully, a little change. You know, maybe change our perspective and how we see things. But the bigger issue that I wanted to talk about, especially in light of last week in Special Forces, is a very simple term: communication. Communication is one of those things that it's always talked about. You know, in order to have a great relationship, you got to have really strong communication. You got to be able to talk to each other. You got to have communication bonds have to be really, really strong, right? That's one of the things that you say. Oh, well, if you guys have a disagreement, why don't you sit down and have a conversation with them? Why don't you talk to them? Because communication is key. And when I watched Cody on this week's, special forces, as well as his entire time on special forces. I'm gonna be honest, as well as his entire time on Sister Wives, including tonight's episode. Something really stuck out to me as I was watching it. The idea about when you think about communication and relationships, do you think it's about talking or is it about listening? Is it about communicating your perspective, your ideas, and getting those across? Or is it about understanding what the other person is talking about? What are they saying? Now, when you start to talk about these things in this perspective, we have to take the hint that just having communication is not going to solve your problems. Talking about shit is not going to solve your problems. This is one of the complaints I had last week when Robin was sitting there communicating with Cody about how things could have been different with the Sister Wives. And she looked at Cody in the face and said, it would have been so great and so wonderful if you would have just looked at one of us while we're sitting at the table with all the other ladies around and just say, I got you. I got you. Girl, I got you. That shit is cute. But you know what would have been better than him just merely communicating that he has you? Is for him to stop, listen to what they're saying, understand what they are trying to communicate to him, what they're saying they need from him in this relationship, and thereby go about the business of doing the work to show them that you got them, that you're on their side, that you have their back. Because all the communication, all the chit chat and jibber jabbing in the world doesn't make a damn bit of difference when the rubber meets the road and the bills come due. These women didn't leave Cody because he didn't tell them enough that I got you. They left him because they felt in their soul, they felt in their hearts, they felt in their minds, they felt in their spirits, and they looked in their children's faces and they saw that Cody didn't have them. So if you believe that communication will solve everything, I guess, yeah, that shit works. But see, in the real world, the actual world, it's not just about talking. It's about listening. It's about understanding. And more importantly, it's about doing the work. And I think that that's what we see. Too often when we talk about like Cody and he presented himself and he talked about masculine man and manly man and how you're going to be a man and this is what men do. And that's what he's talking about all throughout his time on Special Forces. The funny thing about that is, as he's talking about being a masculine man who's a manly man and who's a leader because I'm a man and I have manly stuff and I have the man's parts and therefore I'm equipped to lead. The one thing I've noticed is that physically Cody is able to do a lot of this stuff on Special Forces. Mentally, he's failing at every turn. Why? Because he doesn't have the ability to listen and understand. He doesn't listen to the staff when they try to tell him what the instructions are. He doesn't listen to his fellow recruits on Special Forces, the other cast members on Special Forces, to understand where they are, what they're capable of, what's going on with them, what their perspective is, what they understand the task to be. He doesn't work well with others. And that, my friends, is a reflection of what we've been watching for 20 seasons on Sister Wives. Cody doesn't work well with others because he doesn't take time to listen and understand what these women are talking about, what they need. Instead, he tells them what they need. They say, oh, no. When he's talking to Robin, there's a perfect example tonight. When he was talking to Robin about dancing, Robin said, oh, no, I don't like dancing with you because you don't dance with me. I'm just a prop so that you can go out there and basically dance with yourself. Right? And that's a young man's thing. That's what the young cats do before you realize that, it's not sexy if you dripping sweat. Unless your name Michael Jackson, Usher, Justin Timberlake, Chris Brown, or somebody, sit your ass down, hit that two-step, baby. Go two-step all night. You know what I mean? Drop that two-step. But when it came down to it, Robin said that she didn't feel comfortable dancing with Cody. And part of the reason why she didn't, when she said she didn't feel comfortable dancing with Cody, because she's like, you don't consider me. And I think that that's a big thing. Like, basically what she was saying was, when we go out dancing, you don't consider me. You don't see me. You don't think of me as being your partner. I'm just there and you're trying to lead me around. The funny part about that is, even after expressing these concerns, and she said, I don't mind going out dancing with you because that's something you want to do, but I want to take lessons to learn how to do it so we can do it with each other and we can both enjoy it. And at that time, Cody said, I don't give a shit. I just want to go do what I want to do, and try to force her into doing the thing that he wanted to do his way, which is also very reminiscent to something that was talked about during Special Forces. Because during the question, if you guys haven't seen it this week, if you're a Sister Wife fan and you're looking for Cody Brown's portion, this was the kind of the week for it, because the DMs called him into an interview, and while they were questioning him, they started talking about his kids. And he started talking about his responsibility to his kids and why he doesn't get along with his family. And Cody, of course, tries to come back with some bullshit about, the kids don't like me. They didn't listen to me, and they don't like me for whatever reason. I don't know. I did the best I could with what I had, and they just didn't think it was good enough. Oh, well, basically taking blame from himself. And these men sat there and told him that he has to take responsibility for his own actions. And they went even went as far as to say, you're mad at them because they refuse to dance to your tune. You're okay with them as long as they do what you want them to do. But the moment that they diverge away from following your strict orders, your strict expectations, all of a sudden you have a problem with them and you got to get rid of them. And that's what it is. You have to learn to start taking accountability and be responsible for your own actions. I don't know. That sounds kind of like you got to man the hell up. I know that's a little shorter than what these guys said, but that's basically what it is. You got to man up, bro. You have to be an adult. It's not even so much gender specific. You have to be an adult. You're too damn old to sit around and think that you can get everything you want, the way you want, when you want, how you want, from everyone you want. That's not realistic. And in case, newsflash, in case nobody ever told you, the sun doesn't rise and set in the crack of your ass. So therefore, you have to act like there are other people in the world. And I think that was a strong lesson. Ironically, especially understanding that this show was filmed a year ago and he still doesn't talk to any of his kids, that he learned nothing from those experiences. He learned nothing from those conversations. And this is where I get back to the whole idea of the ineffective nature of simply pressing and forcing communication. If you just think that communicating and talking things out are going to solve your problem, you are sorely mistaken and you're going to be incredibly disappointed. Why? Because it takes people who are willing to participate in the discussion. Communication requires participation. Not just participation with you getting your point across, but communication in trying to understand what the other person is saying. And this is a skill called active listening. Right? It's not just you, I hear you. Physically, yeah, you hear their mouth, you hear noises. But active listening is actually thinking about and considering and, to some level critiquing what the person is saying so that you can understand it. And from there, if you have a disagreement or you want to create a rebuttal or you want to respond, you have the ability to respond from that point. And what I've seen thus far with the show is that Cody is failing on that point of communication. Because again, communication only works if both people are engaged in understanding, not just performing. If he wants to just do the, which is what part of the reason why I don't really have a huge presence. Like I don't mind Facebook. I'll go on it every now and again, but I don't have a huge presence on social media for that reason, because there's too often, especially in some of these forums, when people fall into their echo chambers, they just want to shout whatever it is that they have, and they call themselves wanting to go out and debate and discuss, but they don't want to debate and discuss. What they want to do is they want to shout their script at you and just try to force you to believe what they believe. And if you don't believe what they believe, then all of a sudden you didn't do your research, you've been influenced by the wrong people, you're not smart, or whatever the case may be, because you don't understand the world the way I do. And that has never moved the needle towards understanding. When we talk about freedom of speech, we're talking about the idea of open discourse, not just you saying whatever you want to say. And I think that that's a lesson that Cody needs to learn. Now, when we look at it, because I mean, just to kind of take a step back, there's also another reason why Cody doesn't want to do the lessons, because he don't want somebody to tell him what to do. He wants to be in charge. So he'd rather do shit wrong, which we've seen clearly on Special Forces. He'd rather do it wrong his way than right following somebody else. And that, to me, is indicative of somebody who lacks maturity and doesn't have a strong understanding of what true leadership is. Because leadership is not like, there's leadership and there's being a boss. If you're a boss, you try to get people to work for you. If you're a leader, you work with the people who are following you. There's a distinct difference. And I think that Cody tries to fall into the boss category, where it's all about celebrating and exalting himself and not necessarily achieving or reaching a goal or achieving an accomplishment, any of that. So I think that that's part of the problem. Now, conversely, as we're talking about communication, I think that it's very interesting that we had on the other side of it, Christine and David's discussion of Peyton. According to them, they had an argument about Peyton, where they were saying that David was basically taking a position that when he talks to Peyton, tries to talk to Peyton about deep things, emotional things, things that are going on in his life, Peyton oftentimes will fall back to quoting a movie or a television show. Now, here's the thing. I don't mind that as much if it's done for a purpose with intent. So if it's done as an example, like as an analogy or something of that effect, then I think there's room for that. But I understand what David is saying, because I too have had I've known people like that, where you try to talk to them about what's going on with them or what's happening in their lives, and all they want to talk about is what next movie is coming out. And that is frustrating to a point. If that's what Peyton is doing, that is frustrating, because it demonstrates not only a lack of depth, but there's a lack of trust, because you don't trust me. That's why you don't want to tell me things about you. So you rather talk about superfluous things that don't matter, than actually have a deeper discussion about what's going on in your life. You'd rather tell me about the Joker and Batman and the Marvel movies and the next Tom Cruise movie coming out, or what Denzel Washington got going on. You rather talk about that, or the K-pop sensation, or what's happening with the Swifties, but you don't want to talk about what's going on in your life. How is your family doing? How is your relationship coming along? Those kind of things, because those things make you vulnerable. And this is also one of the things that, when I was talking about it conversely, and I was thinking about Cody and Special Forces, the problem that I really hit me, that the problem that Cody has had, and I've always known this, is that emotionally Cody's a coward. He's afraid. And that's why he's so afraid of somebody seeing him, seeing his flaws, and him having to take accountability that he's not perfect and he doesn't know everything and he doesn't do everything right. He's so afraid of that he refuses to talk to anybody in any real specific manner. So everything that he talks about, if you listen to him even during interviews, and this is, a couple of the cast members do this as well, but if you listen to them during interviews, They will talk about things in broad general terms. They don't ever come down onto a point. They never make a statement where they're like, this is what it is. And you could buy that for $1, as Linda would say. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Right? They never do that. They merely come out with, polygamy is a wonderful thing, but as it turns out, you could be like a dog with a bone, but if you bark, two birds are in the bushes. Like, what? You missing like 4 or 5 analogies. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, they're not saying anything. And I think that what David is trying to get through to Peyton, and even with his discussion to Christine, is that if he wants to have a real, deep, lasting relationship with anybody other than, himself, he's going to have to go deeper. Because ultimately, the cornerstone of you being able to have that kind of communicative discussion with somebody is a level of trust. And when you refuse to do that with your partner or a prospective partner, you're telling them without telling them, I don't trust you. And if you don't trust your partner, how do you expect them to trust you? And trust you with their future, and trust you with their lives, their dreams, their hopes, things that they aspire to. You don't tell me anything. You tell me the next Batman movie's coming out in 2 years. And here I am trying to figure out how to buy a house. You know what I mean? Or how to get what job I want to go for. Or do I want to talk to my boss about a promotion and you want to start quoting a Joker? Like that, it just doesn't matter. Now, Christine came back. She retorted with a something that I'm not a big fan of. When you utilize your past traumas, to create a point so that point can't be refuted. And I felt like she kind of did that a little bit. Well, I was married to Cody, because you were talking about Peyton. And then all of a sudden it was like, I was married to Cody and my life was such shit that I needed that escape of these movies. And I understand it. And I think that that's a point. However, at the same time, you were married to Cody. You needed the escape because you were in a bad situation. But at the same time, this is a lot like she mentioned that she had substance issue. This is that escape issue. If you have a substance issue, or you like to imbibe, or whatever the case may be, that's a form of escape. The problem is that when you escape, even though you escape for that small respite of an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, and you fall into that fantasy world, that movie or whatever the hell it is, the pill bottle or the booze bottle, when you fall into that at that time, your problems don't stop. Your problems are still there. You're just ignoring them for a little while. You're just not paying attention to them, but the problems are still there. And the bigger problem is if you continue to continuously ignore your problems, they just get bigger. They don't get smaller. They don't go anywhere. And I think that's a different conversation that they could have had. But she used it as a way to tail into like the whole question of polygamy, which I appreciate because it's the natural form of a conversation too. Like, everything can't be, well, we're just talking about these points and that's it, because again, that falls into the failure of communication. But if that's what she does, and that's what they did, and David, to his credit, rolled with that, and they continued their conversation, that was them talking and sharing their perspective, their views. That's them actually being intimate. The ironic part is we watched a lot of time where Cody and Robin will be on screen and they'll talk a lot of sex stuff, which is crazy because when Suki brings up the stuff that Cody said on television, all of a sudden Suki's going too far because all she wants to talk about is the sex stuff, and that's not appropriate. Y'all crossing all kinds of lines, even though I was talking about busting Robin down for at least the last 7 episodes of this last season. Every episode this season so far, he talked about breaking Robin a piece off. But now it's going to be too much when Suki brings it up. That's crazy. The ironic part is, and this is something you understand if you've ever been out in the world and you've been doing things, there's a difference between physical interaction with a human being and being intimate with them. A lot of times they folks try to make them synonymous, but they are not. You could have physical relations with somebody. I'm trying not to be too dirty. You can have physical relationships with somebody, right? Blow their back out, in other words, and you don't have an intimate connection with that person. You could sit and have a conversation with somebody and in a way be more intimate, be more naked in front of that person, having a conversation where you actually express your thoughts and listen to them express theirs, and you exchange ideas and positions and what you think of the world. You share your hopes, your dreams, your passions, things that you care about. That brings you closer than even the physical act of doing certain activities. So what we watched Christine and David successfully be intimate on television in one episode, and they've eclipsed the attempts of Cody and Robin, who have just been talking about physical attraction, physical intimacy, and just basically having sexual relations. And if you asked me, which relationship do I think has a better chance of surviving? Which has a better chance of lasting just on the surface? If you say to me, James, we have one couple where that physically they can't keep their hands off each other, or he can't keep his hands off her. She's pushing him off like, you know what I mean, like a nest of bees. But he's constantly clawing and pawing at her, trying to be physical with her. And then on the other hand, you have another couple who they sit and they talk and they share things about themselves. They share their past. They share their present, where they are now. They share where they want to be in the future and how they can get there together. Which couple do you think is going to last, James? And I would say the first couple sounds like kids in high school. Because in high school, you get excited and, you're doing things that you never did before and it's new to you. And, oh, it's so amazing. It's so incredible. And you feel like you like the game shaker. You just sitting around like this all damn day. But as you start to mature and you start to develop and you start to get into the idea that there's more to life and more to relationships than just the vertical mambo, then you recognize that, you have at some point you're going to have a conversation with them. And it's going to matter what they say. And I think that that's the difference between the two. I do appreciate the fact that Sister Wives is attempting to give me something more to talk about than Cody and like how creepy he is with Robin. So we're going to run with that. So that's the portion that I wanted to talk about with communication. Now, I will say this, because they started talking about polygamy. And David said some strong things about polygamy, which are very much in line with a lot of the things that I was saying in my previous videos, even from the time I started all the way through, try to be consistent. The one thing that I agree with and disagree with Janelle, you can't paint everybody with a big, broad brush and criticize everybody. That, I think, is fair. That's a fair criticism. You can't say that all polygamists are bad and sexist and misogynist. However, I'll say it like this. There was a time when the big orcas, the killer whales, they were knocking off their trainers, right? They were revolting against them, smashing them, doing all kinds of, driving them into the bottom of the pool and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, right? Now, are all orcas dangerous? No. But you have a better chance of getting smoked out, slumped up by an orca if you swim with orcas than if you don't. Okay? Sitting there trying to pretend oh, okay, yeah, not all polygamists are bad. Yeah, but at the same time, you have the tools. The tools are there, and I think that that's part of the problem. If you want to have the bigger discussion, I'm down to have the bigger discussion. How can we do it? How can we make it more fair or safer? But I don't think it's just a matter of, they came in with the whole fanciful idea that if we just tell people that polygamy is out there, it becomes more acceptable, and that by them, people knowing about it, and even if they accept it, somehow it becomes safer. I disagree, because at the end of the day, I think you have to remove the teeth from the hound if you don't want it to bite you. The problem that you have is that everything David said is built into the system. Now, if a husband decides to utilize those tools which are available to him, so if you have I can be with one wife, and if she gets on my nerves or she says something I don't like, and by getting on my nerves, she sticks up for herself or she stands up for her children, the best interest of her kids, or if she says that, James, you wasting money or you blowing the money that I'm bringing into the family and you're giving it to somebody else, and I don't think that's fair. My kids are sitting here and they're not eating properly because you're going out on dates trying to find new wives, and you're spending a lot of time and things away from the family. You're taking financial resources away from the family. You're doing all these things. Oh, you getting on my nerves. So what we need to do is James need to stop visiting your ass, and I'm going to go over to the other wife who's all about helping me do these things because she's helping me to spend the damn money. And there's nothing that in it the wives can do about it because it's built into the system. So we can talk about everybody knowing about it. But just like everything else, when you hear about people knowing about it, if you could know that something's going on in a family, even in a monogamous relationship, you could know something's going on in the household that's not quite right. She's putting on a lot of foundational makeup. She's wearing long sleeve shirts in the summertime. You know there's something going on in the house. There's only so far you can push without that person coming forward and saying, this is what's happening in the house. 1, 2. What if historically, what have these people said who are in these relationships? It's none of your business. So even though we have all kinds of awareness material out there, in my town, my county, we set up places and things like that where people can go. Like, I think my town, the town over, and like 3-4 other towns within my area, not even towns, I'm talking about counties. They set up places where we have shelters and things like that for people who are in tough spots. Even with all that information, it doesn't stop the mistreatment. So we have to get away from the idea that just because people are aware of it, that somehow it's going to cure the problem. I think it helps. I think Janelle is on a point that if we become more accepting of the fact that this occurs, and people who are involved don't necessarily feel afraid to come forward and say that they're in this type of relationship, and they don't feel like that's going to be the first strike against them in their complaint, then yeah, I think that does help. But at the same time, I'm very skeptical on how far it will go to stop the abuses that occur in that system, because I'm going to be frank, and I'm just saying this as an outside observer, as an outside auditor. It's built into the system. It's built into the system. So we can sit there and try to dress it up and dress it down as much as we want. But even by Cody's standards, you listen to folks who've been in it, who have their YouTube pages, they'll talk about it. If you listen to them talk about it, they'll tell you Cody was a progressive participant. He not only is Cody not a bad person as far as he's concerned, he's actually forward thinking. He's a kind husband because he did give some freedoms to his wives. And even that statement in and of itself, he gave some freedoms to his wives. That's crazy. So, I mean, we have to acknowledge that as well. I mean, I'm all about, like, and again, this kind of goes back to the conversation with Christine. Like, I like fantasy stuff too. I grew up, Star Wars, Star Trek, the anything out of space. I love superhero stuff. I love the comic books. I had comic books and stuff when I was a kid, toys and shit, But I recognize that just because you tie a towel around your neck don't mean you could jump off your garage and fly away. You understand what I mean? I like fantasy too. But sometimes we got to tap it with a little bit of reality. Then I wanted to talk about because I got to go back to the whole thing too with the discussion they had with David. I think that we really do have to be very mindful of the power and control which exists in polygamy. Now, Janelle did say something which I'm going to confess is beginning to be one of my pet peeves when we watch these types of alternative lifestyle shows. Somehow, some way, when you talk about the ills that occur in polygamy, which is built into the system, by the way, as I've expressed, they always come back and say, yeah, but there are bad people in monogamy too. Okay. That doesn't, the whataboutism doesn't take away from the point. It doesn't take away from the point. You know? Pigs may like it. And so do the cows. Pigs don't eat it, but the cows know how. Like, it doesn't make a difference like that. Okay. It doesn't make a difference. If the wrong thing is happening in a monogamous relationship by the nature of the system that we are a part of, we talk about prenuptial agreements. If you get married and you don't have a formalized prenuptial agreement, there is a prenuptial agreement in place. It's called, when you go to court and you file your petition for divorce, there is a certain prescribed result which will come down from that decision. When you put in that application, the state already has prescription on where you are, whether you live in a community property state, where you live in a fault state, where you live in a no fault state, et cetera, et cetera. There are there's guidelines in place. You have protections that you simply do not have in polygamy. And I say that because when I say protections, I'm not just talking about, well, according to our faith and according to our culture. I'm talking about legal protections. You have legal protections if you are married in the United States that you do not have if you're the second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th wife of a polygamist. You don't have those protections. In some states, you have common law protections. You don't even have to be married as long as you present yourself as a couple. As long as you are you hold out that this person is your partner, and you can establish that you guys have lived in a form and fashion of being a married couple, then you have you inherit certain protections under some common law states in some places. You don't have that in polygamy. I don't give a shit how long you've been married. Mary was with Cody for 30 years. When she filed her legal divorce way back in 2000, I want to say it was like 12 or something like that. When she filed for her legal divorce, that was the termination of any rights or responsibilities Cody had towards her. Any rights she had, she abdicated because she gave away because she wanted to give them to Robin so he could adopt the kids. That bullshit storyline. So that's that. But again, the system is not built that way. Now, the question is, like even Janelle said it, if they made it so that women in polygamous marriage somehow could reap some of the assets once they depart from the polygamous marriage, they break up, they decide they want to take some of the husband's assets, they could do it. Then, yeah, damn Skippy. The volunteerism or the participation of people going into polygamy would plummet. It would plummet. And and Janelle, this is something Janelle has even acknowledged. And my question is simply this. If Janelle, I'm offering, if you ever want to come on the show and talk about it, we can do this. Or anybody who wants to talk about polygamy, come on the show. We'll talk about it. But if you can acknowledge that the numbers of polygamy would plummet if women were given rights within those institutions, I ask this simple question. Why do you think they would be plummeting? They would plummet because the men who are involved in these situations understand that they have an inherent benefit within the institution that they are participating in. So, because if you take away that benefit, then they have zero incentive to want to participate in that institution. That's why the numbers would plummet, because even they recognize, and tacitly, Janelle is recognizing that there is an inherent uh, privilege that these gentlemen who involve themselves in polygamy have. They're winning. Then I wanted to talk. Let's talk a little bit. Hopefully, everybody's having a good night. I've been kind of ramming. Hopefully, everybody's having a good night tonight. Enjoy the show. We'll have the Tuesday night call-in show. You guys can call in this week. We're going to do it at 6:00. And then I did want to. I want to close out with a special shout out for somebody. I was kind of debating whether I should bring it up or not, but I think I will. All right, but so let's talk about Mary and these love letters and her discussion and address and all these things. The weird part about it for me is that as we talk about Mary and these love letters, like when you have relationships with people, especially over 30 years and all that, you're going to have things that are left over. Like, she was married to this man for 30 years plus. She's going to have things left over from that marriage or from that union, right? In this case, she found dresses, she found love letters. Cody kind of bashed her a little bit, saying, oh, she was a little shy, so I had to keep encouraging her. So he's basically saying, because of her insecurities, I had to keep, and she had self-esteem issues, so I had to keep reassuring her that she was cool, she was a part of it, blah, 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 blah. And he talked about it in the form of, it was a lot of work, and I didn't enjoy the work. Now, I'm not bashing Mary for feeling a certain way about seeing her jewelry or her wedding dress that she made, remembering that time in her life. The only thing that bothers me about this whole thing is that Mary had one point said that she takes deep offense to Cody saying that he never loved her and he never loved any of them. Here's my thing. And again, I don't want to, I'm not bashing Mary at all. I'm just merely, I want to point out something that bothers me when she says that. Or I think about when she says it. I don't say bother me because I'm not that deep with it. But the first thing is, Mary was treating the love letters and that jewelry and the dress as though they were proof that her and Cody were meant to be. That, not beyond just their love being real, but that their relationships were inevitable. They were important. They were meant to be. And here's the thing. There's part of me that screams when she says that no, Mary, that's not love. That's nostalgia. That's how he made you feel at the time. But as we, as grown folks, we grown folks, as we look at those things and I consider it, they were very young when they got married. They were very young to get married. Like, she was 19, I believe. I think he was like 21 or something like that, 21, 22. They were very young to get married. Like, so essentially they would have been married. She would have been a sophomore in sophomore in college. She would have been maybe graduating college if they would have went to a 4-year thing, right? They're young. Not a whole heaping hell of a lot of life experience, et cetera, et cetera. In Mary's case, not a lot of experience romantically. Cody, he said he had some experiences. But here's the thing. The love letters, the feelings, the emotion, the fact that they kind of rushed down the aisle to get married because they didn't have long engagements. That's something that both she, Cody, Christine, and Janelle have all said, that they didn't have long engagements. They didn't have a whole heap and a lot of time to get to know each other sexually, which is why Christine is so adamant about not only having long engagements, but living with somebody who you plan on coupling yourself off with. I know Cody's going crazy. That's somebody else's wife. You're going to live with them. You're going to cohabitate with them. You're going to go on vacations with them so that you can get to know each other, because it's that important, because she felt that she didn't do that in her first marriage, in her first relationship with Cody. And here's the thing. I preface that all by saying this. In Christine and Mary's case, that was their first real long-term relationship. If your child came to you in high school or in college, they said, hey, this is my first boyfriend. I love him so much. He's the end all be all. I want to marry him. He's incredible. Right? And if they break up, my life is over. I can't go on because I love you, the love of my life. What would you say? You're young. There's other fish in the sea. Blah, 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 move on, you got to get through it. It hurts now because, young love is powerful love. But as you get older, you'll look back on this and realize that that isn't necessarily the person that you were meant to be with. I propose to you, and I would even ask Mary what she thinks about it, or Cody or Robin. I know what they would say. I'm pretty sure. I know what Cody would say. I know what Robin would try to say, but she would probably be sniggling and giggling to herself because she agrees with it. That at the end of the day, I think his marriage with Mary, Janelle, Christine were all young love marriages. He wasn't sure what love was. He just, out of those relationships, out of those pairings, he just had a shit ton of kids, 13 kids, which has nothing to do with, like, how many kids you have has zero to do with how much you love a person. Zero. So he just had 13 kids with people that he at the time, like, if you ask him, I'm sure he did think he was in love with them. Just like if you ask a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 20-year-old, how do you feel about your boy? I love them. They are my everything. They're going to be my wife one day. They're going to be my husband. But you ask them 5 years after the breakup, what about that person you, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? What was I thinking? And in this case, I think that when he finally got with Robin, I think that Robin, and I noticed some people going to disagree with me, which is fine, but I think Robin is everything that he wanted. Not because Robin's awesome, but because Robin knows how to play the game. She knows how to pull him in. She knows how to. There's people out there, look, let's call it what it is. There are people out there who know how to snag a damn man. They know how to scoop a woman. Now, there's some people, it's because it is a skill. It is a skill to be able to pick people up or ingratiate yourself to them where you can start dating them and stuff. That is a skill. And part of the reason why it's so difficult when you've been in long-term relationships to get back into the dating pool and back into the dating market, sexual marketplace, whatever they call it, however you want to put it. The reason why it's so difficult is because it's a perishable skill that you no longer have. If you've been married and committed to your person for 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, then for you to go back into the dating pool with that perished skill that doesn't really exist anymore, maybe the muscle memory is there, maybe you can, work things out, but it's going to take some reps. It's going to take some time. You have to put the work in to get that muscle memory back in for it to kick in and for you to regain that skill. Right? So I think that Robin has that skill when it comes to her understanding and listening to and giving the fantasy of what the person that she's dating or desires wants. Cody desired to be the manly man. She gave him that. She gave him that. She listened to him long enough and well enough to hear that this is what he desired. And she just merely presented herself as what he desired. And he fell in love with the thing that she presented. Not necessarily her and who she is, but what he sees from her and how she makes him feel. That's what he fell in love with. These other women, the reason why their relationships, frankly, the reason why your relationships failed is because you couldn't be that thing because you were trying to be who you were. You were trying to be yourself. You were trying to get him to accept you. The fact of the matter is he was never going to accept you for you. He accepts Robin because Robin presents herself as something that he finds acceptable. There's a difference. And I think that that's where I listen to Mary talking about these things. Someone said, just a small town girl said, sometimes I thank God for unanswered prayers. Yeah, you be there praying, please let me get her. Please. She's so beautiful. Please. Oh, if I get that, I'm old man. Then give it 2 years, be like, well, thank you, goodness. The Lord was working, the Lord is my shepherd. You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give a little confession right now. There's been more than a few times I was like, oh man, that's nice right there, boy. I'm gonna get that. Oh, that's I'm gonna treat her good, boy. I'm gonna treat her good. And things don't work out. And I look back on it, be like, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, Father, you pulled my ass up out the archangel's working at overtime that day. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes your success is your failure, if you dig what I'm saying. But the whole thing is that long short, I think that when I listen to Mary tell these stories, it's heartbreaking in a way because she's still holding on to the sense of nostalgia of who Cody was and how he made her feel. And part of what is so troubling to me and what bothers me about it is not the fact that she remembers that she was married and she's remembering where she was. What bothers me is that you look at it through rose-colored glasses and you see yourself as, ignoring the person that he is today because you liked the person he was yesterday or 20 years ago. So you're willing to overlook who he is today. Now she says that she's never going back to him. And I think that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. I believe it. I believe it. She's not going back, but a good part of that is because he don't want her back. I mean, I'm not going out with J Lo or Salma Hayek either. I refuse. They not available either, so it doesn't make a difference whether I would or wouldn't. And I think that's part of it too. So, I mean, there was that, and I also noticed, and I'll give 2 more things on this before we wrap. See, guys, I told you I'm gonna streamline it. The 2 things that I'll say about this particular episode. One, I feel bad for Mary, but not really, because Christine did jump the gun in season 17 or season 18 when she revealed that Mary got her ring melted down. I think it was season 17. So like 3 seasons ago, Christine talked about Mary getting her ring melted down. And she's finally getting around to telling that story. And to me, what that reveals is, and it's kind of like, guys, this is where I'm talking about it's getting kind of long in the tooth, right? Because they're still doing a Cody is bad, and here's one more story that shows how bad he is. We already hit the point where we understand how bad Cody is. And even with the things that David was saying about polygamy, we've already had those discussions. That's the upside and downside of having coverage on YouTube. TLC interns, this is, the plus and the minus. The plus is when we cover, me and other folks on YouTube and Instagram, Twitter and all that, TikTok, when we cover Sister Wives, we will talk about these issues and we'll talk about the observations of like the status of polygamy and how it goes and blah, 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 and the pitfalls and all these things. The problem you guys have now is you're finally catching up to conversations that we've already had years ago. And you're presenting those conversations like they're new conversations. Everything that David said is things that I've said. You can go through my Sister Wife library. Everything David said tonight, I've said back in season 17, 16, 17, when I started reviewing this show. Everything he said, there's nothing, and I'm not even saying like, oh, I'm a genius, brilliant man who just code cracking all over the place because I can decipher all these hidden messages. No, there are plenty of YouTube content creators and content creators who have said the same thing. So I'm not even going to sit there and be like, oh, it's all me. They must have been watching my video, right? It's common sense. Some of this shit is just common sense, right? So I think part of the problem that Mary and some of the cast members are going to have moving forward is that, one, a lot of the stuff that they're going to want to talk about, we've already talked about, and in some cases, we've talked about that shit to death. The other part of it is that it might not be interesting. You're getting to a point now where, I mean, even Jodi Periscala, bless her heart, came out and said, I'm at a point now I'm getting tired of bashing Cody and Robin. I respect that. That's not how I started the channel. To be honest with you, it kind of, I think in some cases it gets a little more heavy as far as bashing Cody and Robin because the storylines are so light. There's so little content in the actual story. That's all that's left. Cody, the one thing that happens in the episode is Cody or Robin comes out and says something that's completely ridiculous, and we respond to it. And that's where it is. But even that is getting kind of long in the tooth, right? Because we need more, right? In order for this show to continue, and this is what I've been saying the whole time, we need more, right? And I'm going to do a video about the special forces, talk about that specifically. The second thing I wanted to talk about before it gets too late, then I'll get ready to let you guys go. The second thing that I wanted to talk about, which I want everybody to notice. Did anybody else notice that we spent an inordinate amount of time tonight, a huge amount of time tonight, talking about wedding shit? Here's what I think is happening. Just a guess. They are priming us for a wedding special. Let me say that one more again. Has anybody else noticed how much wedding shit we've watched tonight? They were talking about wedding dresses. They were talking about wedding rings. Mary and Jen. They were, Christine was talking about getting married. Cody was talking about recommitting to the monogamy thing because he's a monogamous now, and they're going to practice dancing. You know, when you go to dance classes, when you plan on having a reception at your wedding, I think, and call me crazy, but the hairs on the back of my neck is standing up when I saw that shit. I was like, they are trying to prime the audience for the Robin and Cody wedding special. You know what I mean? Brittany, not Brittany, said, I'm so tired of this wedding shit. I'm a newlywed. Let's get some hearts in the chat for Brittany, not Brittany. Newlywed Brittany, not Brittany. I'm so sick of wedding shit, and I'm a damn newlywed. Yeah, I think that's what it is, y'all. I think they are priming us up, getting us ready, because there's no way in the world, like just knowing Cody and Robin, from what I've seen on the show, I don't know them personally, but just from what I've seen on the show, I don't think that they're okay with sitting there letting Christine have a two episode postseason wedding special and they have nothing. Like, as crazy as it is, they spent the entire first season planning Robin's wedding. That was all about her. The first season. The wedding shopping, the cake shopping, the shopping for the venue, them getting married, the reception, all that stuff paid for by TLC. The biggest wedding this Brown family has ever had was Robin and Cody's wedding. And that's including the kids. Okay? And then when the producer asked Robin, what do you think about the wedding, your wedding? Remember your wedding? What do you think about it? I mean, it was okay. It's all right. I achieved what I wanted to achieve, which is getting a family and position myself to be able to steal everything. No, she said, I guess, she positioned herself so she could be a part of a polygamous family. But now that they're no longer parts of a polygamous family and everything breaks her heart and she thinks about the family and she feels so bad. that she's going to try to sell to us, and this is just a feeling I get. I could be wrong. They're going to try to sell to us that they have to do a recommittal ceremony because she feels so bad about no longer being part of a polygamous family that she needs to have a separation and a definite special day for just celebrating her and Cody. That's how they're going to present it to us, y'all. That's how they're going to present it to us. And I'm not here for it. I'm not putting up with that shit. You know, I just think it just feels like it because it's too heavy-handed. Okay, it's too heavy-handed. It's that creepy part where the date is going good, and every 3 jokes is about going back to the hotel. Going back to the hotel to get some rest. It's creepy, right? Even if I was considering doing it, maybe I was going to do it. Now it's just weird. Now I can't do it because you creep me out. It's weird now. It's weird. I'm telling you, but that's what I think they're doing. Like I think they're greasing us up. What's this? YouTube is my time machine in the house with the $5 super chat. Christine and David also took dance lessons. That's why I think you're right, James. Yeah, right. And that's another thing. Thank you so much. YouTube is my time machine. That's another thing. Christine and Robin, or Cody and Robin, will duplicate anything that they think somebody else was doing, especially if it was popular. And the crazy part is they will duplicate it, not understanding why that thing is popular. Why does it work? And why was the audience so interested in Christine and David's wedding? Because we love weddings? But that goes against what Cody said. We hate love, apparently. We hate love. We don't like love. Except for when we watch Christine and David get married. And they were given a 2-part wedding special. And even then, after the season started, season 19 started, they showed the damn wedding special again, technically, in the first 2 episodes. Right? So is it that the audience hates weddings or they love weddings so much that they want to see a special? No, what it is they wanted to celebrate Christine's departure and her liberation and evolution into a hopefully what is going to turn into or is proving to be a healthy relationship. That's what they were celebrating. It wasn't just the fact that she was getting married. So you rolling out another wedding special isn't going to be enough to make people want to watch it just because Robin puts on a white dress and Cody stands at the front of the damn place crying, force crying himself. So, I mean, in my opinion, TLC interns, take this back to the producers. In my opinion, if you guys do a wedding special, you will have some ratings. People will watch it. Some people will watch it. They'll hate watch it prospectively, but people will watch it. Here's the problem that you have, though, TLC. I think that if you do it, you're going to have people who watch it, and then you're going to burn those people out. You're going to burn them hot like Roman candles. They'll be hot as hell watching the show, and then they'll peel off. They'll start peeling off. They'll start I've had enough. They've gone too far. I'm not watching Sister Wives no more. And you're going to lose more people than there's way more downside, more disadvantage to having advantage by doing a special. Just my opinion, though. Take it or leave it, TLC. You guys have millions of views and all that. People love you. But I'm just a humble, small channel. I'm just telling you that you're going to cook yourself if you do that. You're going to cook your show. If you do a wedding special with Cody and Robin, you will cook your show. If you continually use the show to prop up Cody and Robin, you're cooking your show. Right now, you just kind of slow roast them bad boys. You got them in the crock pot. Okay? We're almost done. We're almost done, but it might take a little while. And you're going to go right from the crock pot right into the boiler or deep fry these mugs, and it'll be burnt up, crispy done. Okay? And then when it's that done, you know what you do? You throw that shit in the trash. People going to start leaving. So Just saying. But thank you so much. YouTube is my time machine. Salute. Oh, we had a comment too from Tunsum Car. Cody dances the same way he performs in a bedroom. It's all about him. Robin ain't happy. Cody said, Christine said it was one and done. LOL. Yeah, I just, and then figure out like he's been doing it wrong for this whole time. Like he don't care. He just uses the women. Like even when he does like the pair dancing, he's just throwing them all over the place. That's why, like I know there were some things where people were saying that like his next reality show appearance might be Dancing with the Stars. I don't think he'll be on Dancing with the Stars because I don't think any of them professionals will dance with him because they don't want to run the risk of getting hurt. Because the way he was manhandling his wives. Like they'll tolerate that being because they don't know any better, and just because he's out there frenetic energy and people are eyes on him, they just think that this is the way to do it and it's fun. But if you're a professional, you're not taking those kind of chances. You get hurt because especially if he's jerking and grabbing and throwing and pulling and pushing you in places, and he's doing stuff wrong, and you're trying to tell him like this isn't the way you do it, and he doesn't care. That he could. This dude could end careers. So just don't see it. But thank you so much. And then folks, here in closing, this is all I wanted to say. Let me just check some of the all right. So we're gonna run a little short one tonight. I'm gonna try something a little different because we've been going crazy. Like 3-4 hour lives. That's nuts. So we'll try to pull it back a little bit. And I also want to try to get more short form content out. So it's like 15, 20-minute videos as opposed to just the big whopper lives. But the one thing I wanted to talk about, and again, I was kind of debating whether I wanted to talk about this on live. Last week, I had a cousin. He passed away. One of my cousins passed away. He was an older cousin, and he was my mom's cousin. And he passed, so we had a funeral on Friday. Actually, I found out about it. We were doing a live, and I wanted the notification for the funeral popped up, and I didn't know he had passed. But I'm not saying that to garner sympathy. I am going to say it this way, though. It was remarkable to me when I went to the funeral because like my brother was there, my dad was there, aunts, my cousins, and everybody. My family was there, and it was just a reminder, especially in light of a lot of the stuff that we see on Sister Wives. We have in my family, we have a lot of solid dudes, just solid dudes, solid men, right? And it's remarkable to me because as I sit here week after week and I watch Cody make a mess of his life and a shambles of his life, we have guys who are committed to their wives for like 59 years. Like he was married to his wife V for 59 years, right? 4 kids, well, technically he had 5 kids. One passed away. Lisa passed away when we were young. She passed at like 20 something. Her heart, she had a blowout. Heart blew up. But we've experienced loss, family members passing, young family members passing, and all that. But we had guys who were just rock solid and cornerstones. And I never really thought about it. And I was thinking about it at the funeral on a Friday of how much, though, just having that presence around me when I was coming up influenced how I see a lot of the world and how I approach a lot of my relationships and my expectations and standards that I hold as I look at some of these reality shows or, we talk about different types of relationships, so on and so forth. And it bothers me And I say all that to say this. Long story long. I say all that to say this. It bothers me that Cody has young people in his life that he's just not there for. Even just being around. Because it's not just a matter of I'm doing something for you and this is what I'm doing for you specifically. It's just the presence of you being around, the power of you being around, and you doing the right thing in their presence, and they're seeing it, maybe not, taking notes and writing it down, but they see you doing the right thing and they understand that it's the right thing and that this is how you live your life. This is how you build relationships. This is how you enforce and reinforce the relationships and ties that you have to other people. And they take those skills and they move forward with those skills, and they pass it on, generation to generation. It becomes almost like a family culture. And when you say that, like my family culture is typically, we have guys who take care of their kids. They're about their family. They're about their business. You know, that's just that's our family culture. That's just what we do, right? But then you look at Cody. What family culture are you establishing? When you look at what are you trying to achieve? What is your purpose in life? Is your purpose to build a family, build a life for your family, support your family, take care of your kids, take care of your wife, take care of your the people who care about you, and try to build them up so that way when you lay down and rest your head, these folks will be able to continue on, not just in memory of you and the glory of you, but they'll be better people for knowing you and being around you, right? Or or is your life about making you better? Is your life and your life purpose about buying a bigger house, to have a nicer car, to have a better vacations and all that fine jewelry? Is that what your purpose is? Because at the end of your life, instead of you being celebrated and surrounded by your loved ones and people who care about you, what you will find is you will be laying in your big ass empty house by yourself, empty ass bedrooms down the hall where nobody come and visit you, and a bunch of kids, relatives, family, and friends who are simply waiting for you to pass so that they can take everything that you built during the course of your life and sell it off or use it for their own benefit. And as I look at Cody, I think that that's like the sad part is, and this is actually where I feel bad for him. I feel sorry for Cody Brown. That's me trying to be compassionate. I feel sorry for him because he doesn't realize what's important. He doesn't realize how important it is to be able to have somebody in your life, in your presence, that you are giving yourself to, your life essence to, and it's going to mean something. It's going to be something that gets carried on. The world will be a better place because you're in it, because you're involved with other people, because of your impact and how you impact other people. It's not better because you had a nice house or you spent all your money on dumb shit. So the world is a better place. Nobody's even going to remember your house or your address. It's nice for you, but nobody else gives a shit. And the sad part is that he could complain, and this is what I was saying earlier, like sometimes like past trauma is kind of getting away. He could complain and talk about how he was brought up and his relationship with his dad and how jacked up it was and how his dad was a hard man and how it was difficult to be around and how he treated him and how he wanted to do something different, all his hopes and dreams, and these kids have rejected me and blah, blah, blah. That's fine, I guess. But at the end of the day, what are you doing to change it? You said you know what it's like to be in a bad situation where you don't get along with your father and your dad passed away and you guys have a strained relationship. You know what that's like. So my question is, what are you doing to change it? When you look at your life and you look at the kids and stuff that you've had and you guys are having difficulty, and you see your life kind of mirroring the life and the relationship that you had with your father, only this time is you and your kids, what are you doing to change that? Or are you okay with your kids feeling like you felt? And that becomes the villain arc. But that's where I'm at. So, if you're not impacting, if you're not in this life, if you're not affecting people, then you didn't make the most of this life, right? And my cousin, he was a man that affected everybody he came in contact with. And as I look through, like I go through the Rolodex of my family members, I'm not remarkable. I'm not exceptional. There's nothing really exceptional about me, right? I to me, I'm normal. I'm this is just how we are in my family. It's a family culture. That's just how we are. And I think that if you aren't trying to reach out and make the world better, and if you aren't trying to find solutions, you're part of the damn problem. So you sit there and complain about how it's not fair and how life is jacked up and how, you know, the higher power, God, should come down and do something different. My question is, why aren't you doing something different? Why aren't you making it a better place? We were given free will. If you're a religious person, especially if you're a part of one of the Abrahamic faiths of Christianity, Islam, or Judaism, you believe in the notion of free will. And so you have a choice. It's not the higher power's position or a place to come down and influence us or make us do a certain thing. We have to make the world better. It's on us. You got to carry your water. And I'm not saying you could change everybody, but change your corner. Make your corner better. Spend time with your kids. Spend time with your family. Try to be there for your loved ones and make sure that they know that that you're not only around for the good times or for the hard times, but you're around and you're there to support them through all of it. Good times or bad times, you're present. And let your presence be known. Live loud. Live loud. Don't live quiet or docile, waiting for things to happen to you, waiting for somebody to come in. Cody's sitting around waiting for his kids to call him. Pick up the phone and call them. Stalk their asses out. Go over there to their house. And don't take your wife with you. This is your relationship that you have to make better because this is your fault. We could sit here and talk about Robin and how bad she was all day. At the end of the day, it's Cody's relationships with his kids that he has to repair. Everything else stems from that. Robin is his wife. He's their father. It's on him to fix it. It's on him. And that's all. And that's just, I will leave on that note. But that really struck me when I was, like I said, when I was sitting there I was just thinking about things, considering things, and even watching Special Forces. It was just reinforced to me that that's what's important. Like Cody, and it's not just Cody. I mean, we could Cody Brown all damn day, but I'd say the same thing that any father, especially if you're not with the your kids' moms or or a mom who's not with the kids, father, if just because you can't be there every day, let your kid know that you support them. Let them know that you have their back. There's a old African saying, it takes a village to raise a child. It's not just discipline. It's just, sometimes it's just letting them know, I got you. Like Robin said, I got you, player. I got you. But again, like I said, it's not just a matter of communication, going back, just closing that circle. It's not just a matter of saying a thing and speaking about a thing. It's about doing a thing. Show and prove. Put your money where your mouth is. Do the thing. Let them know that you got them. And then not only, and what I found, I said I was going to close on that, but I'm going to close on this. What I found is a simple truth, and it's a quiet secret that's held about happiness and joy. It's amazing how much joy you receive, personal joy you receive by helping to facilitate joy in others, bringing happiness to other people, helping to make other people's lives better. You'd be surprised not only the joy you find in that work or in that endeavor, but the peace that you personally discover by creating a peaceful environment around yourself where other people can flourish. Yeah, you might not be celebrated. Maybe people won't ever say your name in a stadium or hang your banner, your jersey in a gymnasium somewhere. But if you can impact somebody's life in a positive way, you may never know it. You may never know it. But it could mean the world of difference to the person that you impact. One, two, as you move through life, you never know who's watching you and what they're taking away from simply observing you and how you move. And it's incredible to me that Cody talks all the time about being a man and what men do, and this is the masculine, blah blah blah, trying to be a stalwart example of masculinity. Masculinity doesn't have to beat on its chest. Being a man doesn't mean you have to go out and express to people every 5 seconds that you're a man. Being a leader doesn't mean that you have to say I'm your boss. The truth of the matter is that if you are those things, you are those things. And you will be recognized for those things because those are the things that you are. Like just a very simple pedantic example. I'm a big human being. I've expressed this before. I'm 6'6", 6'7", depending on what doctor's office I'm standing at. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. And I never have to go into a place and say, "Hey guys, guess what? I'm tall as shit." Like I'm bigger than most of the people. I'm in like the 99th percentile of human beings as far as height is concerned. I never have to say that. I walk in and people know it immediately. Immediately. And I'm not saying that I think that like being tall is overrated. But it's one of those things where I never have to say it. This is a simple example. I never have to say it. And I'm comfortable not saying it because I don't have to prove it because anybody who sees me knows it. If you're confident, it's the same thing. You never have to tell people you're confident. If you're a leader, you never people will follow you, and you'll never have to ask them, right? And in the case of your family, and like titles like father or dad, mom or mother, you don't have to tell your kids I'm your dad because they'll feel you. And on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and close this bad boy out. I appreciate you guys. I don't want to hold folks up too late. Cindy McKenzie with the 279 super chat. Thank you so much. No message, just the love. Thank you so much, Cindy. I appreciate you. Let me give you a little something, something. Then we had Lizzie B. She gifted one My Take on Reality membership. Thank you so much, Lizzie B. Let me give you a little something, something. Remember, we have the Sunday or Saturday after. I keep saying that shit. The Saturday at noon Eastern Standard Time, we have a members roundtable. We get together, we have conversations. It's awesome. We were talking yesterday or last Saturday. Yesterday. We were talking a little bit of Sister Wives and a lot of everything else. And it was a really good conversation. Had a lot of fun. But thank you so much, Lizzie B. All right. Let me see something real quick before I let you guys go. Oh, Sorry, guys. I'm gonna give 5 My Take on Reality memberships. So hopefully some folks be able to participate in that. They don't give us a lot to gift, but I will gift them when I get them. So appreciate you guys. But hopefully we had a good time. Guys, take a look at the episode. It's actually pretty interesting. If you get a chance, check out Special Forces because it was pretty good this week. And I appreciate you guys so much. I want to give a big shout out to the Mega Mods, Lizzie B, Brittany, not Brittany, and Carmel Cuties. I appreciate you guys. One second. Excuse me. That sneeze has been creeping up on my ass the whole night. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Excuse me. Want to give a special shout out to YouTube is my time machine, Cindy McKenzie, and Lizzie B for gifting them My Take on Reality memberships and the super chats. Let me give you guys, the mods and everybody in the chat, a little something, something. Whew, I almost sneeze again. Oh, and we have Jody Periscala with the $1.99 super chat. Did you watch? Oh, did you watch? Oh my goodness. Did you watch Pop Psych? I have not watched it yet. I want to sit down and do a deeper reaction video. So I didn't want to react per se about Pop Psych. I just want to talk about some of the ideas that they discussed. Of course, I'll give credit to Pop Psych when I do it, but I wanted to do it as a short form video so that way I can get it out. But thank you so much, Jody. Let me give you a little something, something. Oh my goodness. But thank you guys all so much for hanging out with me. I know it's a little short. It was short turn tonight, but again, I was trying to do something a little different so that way the lives are a little more manageable for people who want to participate, and you don't feel like you have to stay up till 5 o'clock in the morning and then get up at 6. But thank you guys so much. Elizabeth, put something in there. Hold on one second. There you go. It's a round table. So make sure you come through for the round table, y'all. Conversation is popping, is lit. All right. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. That's my take. I'm James, and this has been my take on reality. And I'm out. And I'm out again this time for real. All right, y'all. Have a good night.